Well, in the middle of all this, today marks day 24 of the government shutdown with no end in sight, and the Senate has adjourned until next week. Lawmakers failed to advance a Republican-backed measure yesterday that would pay federal employees, military members, and contractors who have been working during the shutdown. Democrats argue it would give the White House the ability to decide who does or doesn't get paid and could provide President Trump with a justification for not paying furloughed workers after the shutdown ends. Senate Democrats have introduced an alternative bill to pay federal employees, but it has not gotten a vote. Willie.
Meanwhile, House Democrats are set to return to Washington next week, starting with an in-person caucus meeting on Tuesday. The full House has not been in session since September. Speaker Johnson has said Republicans will return only after the government reopens. As we get closer to November 1st, nearly 42 million SNAP recipients across the country are in danger of not receiving those crucial benefits. Pennsylvania already has said it is suspending benefits, while Texas says it will halt payments if the shutdown lasts past October 27th, a date coming very fast. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin has declared a state of emergency to help to maintain food aid for state residents. Jen, the SNAP element is just one of many that shows this is not a Washington game to most people out in the country, though it appears that way when you listen to politicians trying to get leverage over each other and who should be blamed for this and all that. People are losing things that they count on because of this long shutdown.
Yeah, and I think that's what, there's a lot of reality is going to be setting in the next 2 weeks in terms of cutoff dates for people getting paid, the type of benefits that they said. So I think that we should be nearing the end when you'd see the White House make some kind of move to try to bring this to a conclusion. There's an obvious solution here. I think most people want to extend Obamacare subsidies. I think, the president has made a lot of indications that he wants to get that done. It would be sort of, in some ways, Democrats are doing Republicans a political favor by raising this issue now and not letting these subsidies expire by the end of the year. But I think the Democrats should go ahead and do that because you should do what the right thing is to do and you should prove that you can get results. But I think we're kind of nearing the end where that this is not going to be sustainable.
Hey, so Jonathan, we've been saying for quite some time that Donald Trump can read polls and he's got political instinct to understand that he goes out and says, I'm not going to cut Medicare. I'm not going to cut Social Security. I think in the past he said, I'm not going to cut Medicaid. But he can read the polls. He certainly understands, probably better than a lot of people in the House, Republicans in the House, that this isn't a big winner politically for them. You read the polls, Democrats keep improving. Their standing keeps improving. The Republican standing keeps falling. You look at what Glenn Youngkin's doing in Virginia. That's going to impact the Virginia race. I believe the government shutdown's already impacted the Virginia governor's race. A new Washington Post poll shows Spanberger now has rocketed to a 12-point lead in a race that was too close to call not so long ago. You look up at the New Jersey race. Mikey Sherrill kept getting in her way. Now, here's what's happened in Virginia. And I think that huge jump by Spanberger in large part is because of the government shutdown. And it impacts the people of Virginia. And Republicans may get wiped out there. Up in New Jersey, Donald Trump is bragging about slashing funding and ending the Hudson River Tunnel. Right? So he's bragging about making New Jersey residents' commute more hellish. That's impacting what? The New Jersey governor's race. And so Mikey Sherrill is being helped out by Donald Trump right now because he continues to brag about killing that project. Tell me, what are you hearing from the White House? They have to understand this is bad for them in Jersey. This is bad for them in Virginia. This is bad for them across the country.
White House aides, as I've been reporting on the show, have been privately saying to me for 10 days or so now, they think, oh, the end is in sight, the president's going to step in and get this done. And then we had Kevin Hastert, one of his top economic advisors, say that publicly, gave an interview just a day or so ago saying, look, this is going to end soon. The issue is, as I've been hearing the last 24 hours, so the president's not really paying attention. He's beholden to some of the far right-wing elements of his government. That's Russ Vought and Stephen Miller, who see the shutdown as an opportunity to fulfill the Project 2025 wish list and slash the government and irreparably harm Democrats, they think, and harm democratic institutions. But the president is focused on other things, whether it's Gaza or we've had Ukraine. Certainly now it's tariffs. It is the situation in Venezuela and the fact that he is now heading later today to Asia to have a summit there and talk with Xi Jinping. Again, it's all trade. And Caddy, he's simply not locked in on this issue just yet. Because Joe's right. The president, look, for people, even his critics will say, has a good read of the room. Like, he understands what issues are important, what's resonating with folks. He's missing this, and it's about the bubble that he's in, it would seem. And every day this goes on is worse for Republicans, but of course, more than anything, worse for Americans. And he still is, at least nominally, the president of all of us.
Yeah, I mean, even for a president who has an enormous amount of energy across a broad range of subjects, the reports I've had from people who have gone into the Oval Office and seen him recently are that he is super distracted at the moment, that trying to get him to focus on one particular policy issue is very difficult. He's talking about the renovations of the White House. He's talking about the Lincoln bedroom. He's in, the Pope's brother comes in for a photograph. I mean, he's not a president who is particularly, nailed in, Gene, on one particular issue. And I wonder in this that I don't know how much currency or attention around the country the demolition of the East Wing of the White House is getting. But there is something in the juxtaposition. I mean, it's a little bit of a let them eat cake moment where the president is building a massive ballroom that presumably will have lots of gold flashed around in it.
You think?
At the same time as people are not getting their food benefits. And the governor of Virginia is even having to declare a national state of emergency in order to get people to have enough food. I mean, there is something there in the juxtaposition. I don't know if this is something that catches fire, but it seems a pretty odd juxtaposition.
Yeah, governors across the country. I subscribe to a lot of newspapers around the country. I'm an inveterate subscriber. And I was looking at their headlines this morning, and governors everywhere are having to try to step in on the food aid issue, for example, because it's just people are getting hurt. Look, I think those pictures of the East Wing being demolished probably is shocking to a lot of people. Now, I realize that most viewers have, and most Americans have not been inside the White House. They don't. You have, I have, and it was shocking to me, but I think it'll strike a lot of people that way. And yes, there is a contrast. It's for a ballroom. It's for a gigantic ballroom that's going to be festooned with more gold than probably they'll have to, reinforce the floors to hold all the gold at a time when there's this pain and the government is shut down. It's not good politically for a president. It's certainly not good for the majority in Congress to have the government shut down week after week after week. People in Washington don't seem to have a sense of how ridiculous and infuriating this is to everybody else in the country.
Yeah, first of all, I do think that the destruction of the White House, the People's House, the destruction of the East Wing has resonated with people in a surprising way. We heard